everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of the Rams House podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing if this is the end of the Rams season already. I'm your host, Ethan, joined by my co-host, Will and Joe. What's going on, gentlemen?
Not much.
Not
Not doing great, honestly, but we're here.
Not a great
Yeah, not as good
NFL
as I
Monday.
wanna
Not a good NFL
Yeah.
Monday for us.
Yeah.
Our first topic of conversation today, of course, is going to be the Rams versus Cardinals recap, and we are going to touch on all the injuries and all the future things in our secondary segment. But first, we're going to be talking about the recap of this game, starting with the offensive takeaways. I've got two takeaways to quickly discuss, and they're both negative. I know it's a shocker. We've got, first of all, the running game was atrocious. We discussed it last week. It's utterly unacceptable for Kyren Williams to be trash against the Cardinals. We've torn them up to shreds. I mean, every Rams running back has had the biggest running games of their life against the Cardinals, including Kyren.
Especially Kyren, yeah.
You know what's
100%.
crazy is, this is the thing that really hit me about the game, is because it's been the biggest criticism that I've had against Kyren, is that if the O-line isn't like phenomenal, Kyren just melts. And what really stood out to me about that game is that, and we both, because we watched the game together on Discord and we kind of mentioned it, is he had holes and he was hesitating so badly. If the hole isn't massive, it just seems like he can't make up his mind. He looked like, and I said it, I thought it was pretty funny, he looked like a dollar store Le'Veon Bell, New York Jets edition. He had that Le'Veon Bell patience, but like he didn't have any of the quickness or decisiveness. The thing about Le'Veon is the moment the hole was open, Le'Veon exploded through that hole. And he was like kind of being patient behind his blockers.
He's too patient.
There was no explosiveness and there was no decisiveness. And he just looks wrecked.
It's like he's waiting forever to like you said, find that hole and run through it, but it's there, and it doesn't seem like he's running confidently. Like he's not confident in what he's seeing, and he's got to he's got to pick the hole and go. And
I want to say the only big, I honestly think it's the reason I said is that he's had a whole life of running through big holes. I'm sure every star running back had a great college blocking scheme. In Notre Dame, we know for a fact, like half the guys that block for him are in the NFL or were drafted or UDFAs. Like Joe Alt, I mean, those guys were pumping out great O linemen there in the last few years. And then last year, we had probably a top 2, top 3 run blocking group. When you get used to seeing big holes, we talk about it. One of the crazy skills that like a early Cam Akers had and Todd Gurley had, and they always talk about it being one of the most important skills for running back, is the ability to kind of like run through a block, as in like you're like running, like touching your blocker's back as you go through. It's the ability to squeeze through blocks. You do that whether the hole is huge or small, because it cuts down on visibility and it cuts down on angles that other guys can take. And Kyren seems to not have learned that ability. And now that the holes aren't Grand Canyon size, he's struggling.
Sometimes you got to create a hole.
right.
Let's be real. Have we ever seen Kyren create a hole?
No. And
I'll give him credit a couple times last year, because we watched all of Kyren's film from last year together in the offseason. And a couple times we said, we paused it on the break and we said, Kyren's got the right side wide open, right? And then he took off left and created a hole where there was none, and we're like, he made the wrong decision and still got 20 yards. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. So he kind of can, but we just don't see it consistently enough. We see it in the open space. We don't see it behind the line of scrimmage, to your point, Joe. Open space is the only time we ever seen him create a hole. Behind the line of scrimmage, it's just do or die with a big gap. That's my first takeaway. My second one is, you know what? And we talked about this, and I kind of want to revise my point. It's about Demarcus Robinson, who I really like. I think he's actually, if he was wide receiver 4, I think he'd be one of the best wide receiver 4s in football. I think that ultimately he fails at the job description of being the Rams wide receiver 3. And I'll elaborate on that, because I've thought my point through a little bit more since we last talked about it. The Rams wide receiver 3 position isn't just wide receiver 3, because our tight end group isn't great in the receiving game. It's also the third threat in the passing game. And as the third passing threat, one of your primary descriptions is to take pressure away from the first 2 primary threats in Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. And let's just be real. D-Rob doesn't command safety attention. No one's bracketing him. No one's doubling him up. When they're playing zone, they're sagging off D-Rob to give more attention to Puka and to give more attention to Cooper Kupp. And in the case of an injury, especially with a guy like Cooper who's been injured the last few years, you want that third option to be able to step up and be a number 2 receiver. And D-Rob has shown that that's not him. So while I think D-Rob's an acceptable wide receiver 3 in the NFL, knowing that Cooper is injury prone or has been injury prone, knowing that we don't have a great prolific tight end receiving game, that he needs to be able to step to wide receiver 2 if and when an injury happens, and he needs to be that guy who takes attention away. He just wasn't ready for that job. And he would have been if we had, for example, gotten Brock Bowers, because then he's number 3 receiving option. DeMarcus is number 4. Bowers takes attention away from those guys. That's a more acceptable situation. So it's not that I don't think D-Rob can't be a wide receiver 3 anywhere. I just think that here, with Kupp's injury history and with the lack of a prolific receiving tight end, or at least McVay not using them in a prolific manner, because I think we all believe Colby can do more, that's where I think it's problematic, and I wish we would have upgraded our receiving core as a whole a little bit more in the offseason.
Yeah, I agree. I think your point about, I like D-Rob. I think he's a good receiver 3. But your point together, it's not really an awful point, just because I agree with the whole concept of getting a better receiver, not specifically because of D-Rob, but because of Cooper Kupp. And I know I'm gonna go through that a little bit later, but I do agree with your concept of getting a receiver, because I just think we need it, especially because, like you said, the injuries. And I just don't like you just said, I don't want to put D-Rob in that position to where he has to be receiver 1. So now he's getting all the attention. And then we have Tyler Johnson, and you bring up Smith from the practice squad. You got Tutu. I know you got that
Whittington.
problem with Tutu. Yeah, Jordan Whittington. Oh, now that's a good point. I think now Jordan Whittington he can step up, and we can. That's a silver lining. We can see if he could be a wide receiver 2 of the future
Sure.
behind Puka or something like that. But I do agree with your point that we do need more receiver help.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little higher on D-Rob than maybe both of you guys. I thought he played really well in the second half of last year, coming into the season. I mean, he wasn't supposed to be. He was supposed to be a wide receiver 3, obviously, and I think as a wide receiver 3, he is a good player. I mean, how many teams in the league are really 3 deep at wide receiver with really good players? So I think in that sense, he's a pretty good wide receiver 3. The problem is, unlike some other wide receiver 3s, like even like a guy like Jordan Whittington, who I look at him and I say, well, yeah, he's kind of further on the depth chart, but he has the potential to be like maybe a wide receiver 2 or 1. That's where I think D-Rob, now that he has to step in and be wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2, I don't think he has much upside more than what we've already seen from him in his career. So I'm not too excited about him stepping up and surprising. I'm not expecting him to really surprise us in that role. The problem is, guys, we have like 3 wide receiver 3s now, right? With Tyler Johnson, D-Rob, Tutu, really more of like a wide receiver 4.
And Whittington as the other one. Yeah.
Exactly. And what I was going to say is Whittington to me is kind of separate from those, because I think he's the one guy where it wouldn't surprise me if he steps up and looks like, maybe a wide receiver 2.
Do we agree that he's the only guy with legitimate upside potential that's left?
That's basically what I'm saying. He's really the. I mean, some could argue Tyler Johnson. I'm not gonna.
But Tyler, I thought that at first, but Tyler Johnson's 26. He's been in the league 4 years. If he, and not to be cynical, but if he blooms at this point, that would be a statistical anomaly. People at receiver, people do not bloom at this age. They've already bloomed, so that would be odd. So that's a really good point.
Yeah. And guys, just, I mean, I know we're kind of, I guess, bouncing around a little bit, but just because, Ethan, you mentioned the running back situation, I was surprised that they waited till the very last drive in the game to give Corum the ball, but he looked good. And some people will say, oh, it was garbage time, it was the last drive. I mean, the Cardinals looked to me like they were still hustling and playing on defense. Corum looked good. I still don't understand the explanation for waiting all game to give him the ball. I don't know what you guys think about it, but it's one of the only positives that I can think of, is that it was a very small sample size, but I think Blake Corum looked pretty good at the very end there.
Yeah, my thing with Blake, not even my thing with Blake. My thing was just Ronnie Rivers, to me, that's the main problem. Everything is why is Ronnie Rivers in the game and Blake is not in the game. You can't like I know me and Ethan talked
Yeah,
about it. You
it is
can't
weird.
convince us that Ronnie Rivers is better than Blake Corum today.
Yeah,
That's you can't convince us.
He
That's just
did.
a problem.
He didn't get carries this week, but he did get playing time. He got a target and
Yeah,
he got snaps. Um,
him even being in is a problem to me.
I do want to touch on what Will said too about people going to be like, oh, you can't really compare because it's garbage time.
hmm
The only thing that means is we can't compare results. We can compare the actual process of what occurred, right? And
sure,
what occurred, the
sure.
process is undeniably we saw a much more decisive running back. We saw a much
Yeah,
more explosive running back, and we saw a much more elusive running back.
yeah,
Blake has some real wiggle. He's got. We talked about this
Mhm.
before the season. His juke is pretty impressive. We saw those videos of him doing the juke drill, and dude was literally hitting the juke button and was like teleporting 5 yards to either direction. It was really impressive.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
we talked about his. He had a couple kick returns that were pretty impressive.
Oh yeah,
And
great
even
kick return.
Joe, you're not. I wouldn't call you a Blake Corum hater, but you're not his biggest guy as far as what he could be in the
Yeah,
future. We were
yeah,
watching it together and we're like, oh, wow, he's faster than he appeared in college. Now, we watched every snap, every touch from last year, and we know he dealt with a knee injury basically all of
Right.
last year.
Yeah, he wasn't healthy.
That clearly, I mean, dude, we see a much faster Blake
hmm
Corum this year than we saw last year in Michigan. Um, I think at this point, to be honest, I think they need to start splitting carries. And I'm being totally real.
100%.
Yeah.
From now
Well,
on,
it's
they
going to
need.
start like that. And I think that will happen. I think they'll start to. Well, this is my prediction. I'll just say it now. I think they are going to start sprinkling in some Blake Corum carries, and he's going to look better than Kyron, and he's going to get the job. I'm going to say it right now. And Ethan, I agree with you about what your point about. Yeah, even though it's against it's garbage time. Maybe say what you want about the scenario and the situation, but what you're seeing on the field is Corum making cuts and making decisions quickly that we haven't seen from Kyron Williams. Again, it's a very small sample size, but that's my prediction, guys. I mean, I don't want to I know we're gonna do stock up, stock
Sure.
down, but I'm gonna say right now, Corum. I really think Corum's gonna take the job from Kyron Williams, and I think it's gonna be sooner than later.
Next couple games, most likely, if I had to
Yeah,
guess.
I
because
agree.
look, if Kyron Williams, okay, if you're not going to run well against Arizona, I mean, I'm not really sure who you're going to run well against. I mean, he played great against them last
We
year.
talked about how bad the front
Arizona.
seven was, right?
Right.
And
Hmm.
Yeah,
there was
yeah, no,
holes. This is the problem, as we talked about it. It was like week one was tough, so we kind of gave him a break. Said he wasn't
hmm
good, but he left a lot of yards on the table. There was holes that he just flat
no,
out
yeah,
missed, or he flat out just waited too long and they closed.
no, it's
Yesterday was bad, man. It was
yeah.
really
We
bad.
and I think we actually
That's right.
we had a little mess up with the recording. I think we were talking about it before, Ethan. Is that he's like too patient. It's good to
Yep.
be a
Hmm.
patient back, but this guy is too patient. I mean, he's waiting forever back there for things to develop. It seems like he's not running confidently. He doesn't trust what he sees. He's taking forever to make a decision. Well, like you said, there are holes and there's a hole to hit, and I don't know. He, anyway, so
In our stream, I called him the dollar store Le'Veon Bell New York Jets edition because
right,
he has the patience of Le'Veon Bell, but he doesn't have the vision or the explosiveness. If you're going to be that patient running back, you got to see any hole that open, any daylight, any hole, you got to be ready to explode through, and he can't do either of those things. So it's a problem,
Yeah.
right,
which is exactly why Le'Veon Bell's career tanked because with Pittsburgh, he had all that. When he got to the Jets, he didn't
He
have the
lost his
explosiveness,
explosiveness. Yep.
and it
right,
totally derailed him. Even though he still had the
right.
vision, the explosiveness was gone, and his career was over overnight. That guy went from top three running back in the NFL to no longer in the NFL. Crazy.
And Williams never really had the explosiveness.
No.
So anyway, on a completely different note, guys, the thing that drove me absolutely crazy about this game, 2 weeks in a row that we get to the goal line right before halftime and we come away with 0 points. So last week, obviously against Detroit, Matthew Stafford throws the interception in the
Hmm.
red zone at the goal line. Really, we come away. Us obviously, you come away with 0 points. This week, guys, it's 24-3. We get to the goal line. with a chance to make it a 24-10 ball game. Joe, me and you were in Discord. You get to halftime 24-10. That's actually not horrible. Being down
Yeah,
two
it's not.
touchdowns, like that's manageable. That is a huge possession in the game. And we get to, I think, the 3 or 4 yard line, 2nd and 1, and we throw a pitch to Kyren Williams, which is wrong on so many levels. First of all, I don't know why you're pitching it to a guy who's not very fast. You're pitching it to the left side where the offensive line isn't as good, frankly, the left side of the line.
Real quick on that point, just can you imagine being like, I'm going to pitch it. I'm going to be running a run play to the outside. I've got Rob Havenstein and Kevin Dotson on one side, and I've got Jonah Jackson and Warren McClendon on the other.
Which side are you picking?
Like, what?
Exactly. And look, so I mean, that's one of the only plays you can possibly run where you're giving yourself a chance to all of a sudden make it 3rd and 4 or make it 3rd and 5 in a situation where 2nd and 1 on the 3 or 4 yard line, like you're guaranteed to get points, and all of a sudden. Anyway, you guys saw what happened. They throw the pitch. They lose 3 yards. Now it's a 3rd and 4. I believe Stafford gets sacked, or maybe it was an incomplete pass the next play. We go for it on 4th down. We don't get it. 0 points. I mean, when you look back on the game, you say, oh, it was 41-10. It wouldn't have mattered. Yeah, that's fine in hindsight. But at the time, that was a crucial possession. And to come away with 0 points, it's that to me, that was the point in the game where it was over after that.
Yeah, I agree. Just real quick, just for my offensive takeaways. I really only have one, and my only thing is a pet peeve I have with this team. I feel like when we start slow, that just puts us in a hole that sometimes it's hard for us to get out of. Sometimes we do against certain teams, but usually when we start slow, it gets out the hole. So the first possession, I know Ethan, if you could pull it up real quick.
Sure.
The first possession to me was it's just incredibly bad, man. You can go over it if you can. Real quick.
Yeah, so first of all, let's point out something beautiful, which was Blake Corum had a really explosive return on the 40. Got it to the 41. He looked fast, man, and I'm not. Maybe I'm being hyperbolic. Maybe I'm being a little sensational. But after watching Cam Akers and Kyren Williams the last few seasons, he looked nearly Todd Gurley fast, which is wild because he did not look like that last year. He looked so much faster than me. But then Kyren gets his one good run of the whole game, and we talk about it, but it was a big hole, and he did what Kyren does with big holes. I just wish he would do that. That's the thing people talk about with these running back situations is like a lot of guys can run through big holes and get yards. It's about how you do when things aren't being blocked well, which as we watched the film from Blake Corum last year, that was literally all he dealt with last year. He almost never had a good hole. But Kyren gets a 9-yard run, then he gets stuffed for a loss of 1 on what I'll admit was a good run a good play by Budda Baker, a great tackle, but Kyren missed 2 opportunities to cut it before Budda got to him. If it's the play I'm remembering, he was running right, it was outside the tackle, and he kept going right instead of cutting it in and getting he only needed 1 yard. It was like he kept running to the outside trying to get more yards. Anyways, it was just bad vision. And then Stafford had that ball to DeMarcus Robinson that he dropped. It was clear drop. They called it a catch. They overturned it, which was the right call. And then we go for it on 4th and 2, and we pass it short of the sticks. You know how hard it is to pass short of the sticks on 4th and 2?
Right. Yeah.
And yes, which, give him some credit. That usually works.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was a bad read. It was actually a bad read because if you remember, there was 2 blockers. One block was really bad. Cooper tried to sneak it between them. I think if he would have just cut it inside, he would have easily fallen forward for the first down.
Yeah.
So it was a bad play. But here's my thing. 3rd and 2. In your mind, it's already 4 down territory. Why not, instead of 2 passes in a row, just run it up the gut twice in a row?
Yeah, or at least on one of those plays for sure. Agree.
I mean, but if Kyron's running up the gut twice in a row, he's going to pick up 2 yards. Like
is he? He's kind of looking like trash right now.
No. It's hard not to get 2 yards in 2 runs, man.
I'm happy.
I know.
I agree with you. I think you have to run the ball at least on one of those plays, probably the 3rd down, if not both.
Sure.
I'm with you. If you're going to go for it on 4th, you might as well just run it on 3rd.
Yeah.
The pass to Robinson we talked about was a bad pass. It was really low. Stafford had a pretty off game. We could talk about that later, but it's an excellent takeaway because it's problematic. We've been getting off to slow starts for pretty consistently for a while, and we get the ball first, turnover on downs at our own 41. It was just a bad way to start the game. So I couldn't agree with that point more. Do you guys have any more offensive takeaways? Because I actually have one more I want to hit on real quick.
I'm done, man. I don't want to talk about it.
Actually, you know what?
Go ahead. The only thing I'll say, it's very quick, is that I thought this would be a big opportunity for Warren McClendon to potentially show that he could be the guy at left tackle, since it's not like A.J. Jackson is blowing the doors off over there, and neither is Noteboom. He wasn't good. Gardeck beat him a few times, beat him very quickly when he did. He settled into the game a bit as it went on, but he wasn't good. That's it, plain and simple. So I was a little bit disappointed in that.
No offense to him, but
I was very disappointed actually. But go ahead.
No offense to him, but I don't even know who Gardeck is, man. So for you,
he did lead their team in sacks last year, but it certainly wasn't Aiden Hutchinson like last week.
Sure.
I mean,
And I actually thought Warren was better in week 2 than he was in week 1. Certainly he was facing a lot more responsibility being a left tackle and a lot more of that stuff. I definitely am not going to say he was good, but I saw things to improve on. The things that Warren struggled with, to me, are very fixable, and we talked about it while we were watching it. A couple of the sacks he gave up, he was the slowest person on the entire line to get off. Remember? And he just couldn't recover.
Yeah, actually, I noticed that. He seemed like a half second slow to even get into his
So I'm just wondering if that isn't just because remember he was a right tackle primarily in college, I think. And actually, I've got him pulled up here. Let me take a quick look. If this loads, he played almost exclusively at right tackle. So he's playing a new position. He's it's a pretty big game. I mean, it's just all the jitters. I saw some good footwork. I saw some good hand technique. I saw very little recovery, and I saw like he was regularly the slowest get off of the line during the snap.
Yeah.
Out of all the players in the line, I'm talking about both sides of the line.
Yep.
And I feel like out of the footwork, the handwork, and the technique, I feel like the get off is probably the easiest one to work on. So I'm not going to write him off entirely, but it was bad.
Sure.
But I saw some good things, especially in the second half where he was getting off just a little faster. He was able to start keeping up with that pass rush. Because realistically, that guy, he got 2 sacks, I think, on Warren, and they were like, it was immediate that he was beat. It was bad.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like Hutch where it was like 20 pressures. It wasn't a pressure every other snap. Like, so I saw some good things to be excited about, even though he was bad in the game. So I'll give Warren his props. So let's go ahead and any more offensive takeaways before I go forward?
I'm good, man.
All right, defensive takeaways. Man, it's tough. You know what? I'm just going to do one thing. We have a massive, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back but it's just, I'm just recalling conversations we had before the season because we all agreed we would like a better third option on offense in the passing game, right? I didn't really care if it was a tight end or a receiver. So this is more of a conversation between us. The other thing that we agreed on was the middle of the field is a problem. We all wanted literally anyone on earth starting at nose tackle over Bobby Brown, right? And we even said, like, hey, give us Greg Gaines back for a veteran minimum deal. He went back to the Buccaneers to be a backup for $3 million. That's it. I mean, I'm not even being funny. Greg Gaines does 2 things. If you don't like Greg Gaines' game, he does 2 things. He's a great run stuffer. He's a guy who doesn't get pushed back regularly. He holds his ground and he eats blocks.
Yep, he's a space eater.
He's a space eater. He eats blocks. Yeah, high motor, high effort. Bro, I'm watching Bobby Brown get pushed back on the regular by one guy. It's low-key pathetic. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's bad. And then you have Troy Reader and Roseboom. Roseboom, whatever goodwill he won in week 1 from having a decent game, he lost all of that with like literally 6 or 7 missed tackles.
He had a bad game. Man. He looks lost out there.
And like, Troy Reader.
Anyway, sorry.
Troy Reader, Troy Reader. I'm just saying, in the middle of the field, we had Bobby Brown looking awful. We had both inside linebackers looking awful, we bragged about how great the safeties look. the moment John Johnson III went down, Cam Kitchens had several times where he looked lost in both the run game and the pass game.
No,
And
he's not running, man.
Cam Curl had some struggles. And I'm going to go ahead and give Cam Curl a break because realistically, he was the only guy in the middle of the field who was worth a crap. And that's, man, I'm trying to be nice about it. I really am. But it's just hard because so many of our problems are coming right there in the middle.
Yeah. Did Jacoby Durant have the best game out of everyone in our secondary?
I'm going to say something controversial. I think it was Trey White. I know he got smoked multiple times.
That is controversial.
Here's what I'm going to say. Trey White hasn't played legitimate snaps in 3 years. There's a bigger rust factor there. In both weeks, okay, in week 1, he got beat one time. Deep ball JMO, we saw it, right? In this, he got beat a couple times in this game. But, dude, we said it when we were watching it live. That was darn good defense.
I don't think that first touchdown was a touchdown, by the way.
It wasn't a touchdown.
I think it's very.
You remember the second big catch on the sideline?
It was great defense. He barely caught the ball.
It was good. It was pretty good defense.
You remember that one catch on the sideline, and we were like, "Man, I don't know if Trey could play any better defense than that." That was a heck of a throw, a heck of a catch, right?
Yeah. And honestly, Kyler Murray was dealing, man. Like, I just have to say, hats off to him. I mean, some of the throws, exactly. Some of the throws were just great throws.
So. That I actually thought Trey was great. I know it's going to be unpopular. Okay. I know statistically he's going to look bad, but he's given up a few big plays this season. But for the most part, we haven't. And by the way, he's shadowing the number 1 guy. So this is this is the way I view it. He's got to have some crazy rust, right? Because he's been basically not playing for 3 years, multiple major injuries, and he's literally been like a couple of inches away from actually making a phenomenal defensive play, but it ended up being a touchdown. When you take that into account and you go, okay, if he can shake the rust off by the bye week, shadowing the number 1 receiver, he's been pretty good, man. It hasn't been like he got roasted one time, the JMO catch. But in this game, Marvin Harrison and Kyler Murray were just dealing against him, bro. And he wasn't even playing bad D. He was just getting beat by better O. And, man, I feel bad for him. I do, because he's going to look bad. People are going to roast him. But I actually thought he was playing pretty good.
Yeah. Actually, I respect that take, and I think it's well argued, and I think it's not as crazy now that I've heard you explain it. I think that's fair, and I also think Jacoby Durant played pretty well.
He did.
So
he did.
I guess all that to say is the safeties were the issue, right? At least the main issue in the secondary. It seemed like they were letting receivers get behind them. They were getting beat over the top.
Crazy miscommunications.
Miscommunication, exactly, and guys, I don't know what this defense is at all. Because you can say, oh, the sky is falling, it's horrible. They looked pretty good week. You know what? Actually, they looked very good week 1, especially that secondary. So I'm not going to say the sky is falling. I'm going to say I don't know what this defense is at this point. We've had one very good week and one very bad week. Chris Shula, I'm disappointed. But, again, same thing I just said. He showed me a week against some very good weapons and a good offense that, he's not incompetent. So it's a complete wild card to me, guys. And then, I mean, like all the keys that we had from the preview episode, what did we say? All 3 of us agreed. Contain Kyler Murray. Keep him in the pocket. We didn't do that at all. The main point. At all. Yeah. He was running wild all day. I mean, there was a couple times where it was because we did get there and there was missed tackles, but either way, the game plan was not there for containing Kyler Murray at all.
That slippery Oompa Loompa, man, he killed us.
Slippery guy, man. He is so frustrating to play.
Yeah, he's good, man. When he's on fire, he's a really good quarterback.
My buddy texted me.
He can be good, yeah. He can be very good.
My buddy texted me. You know what he said? He said, oh, man, is this what it feels like to be every other team in the NFL playing against Kyler Murray? Because Donald has always contained him to a large degree. But this is what every other team in football has had to put up with that slippery dude for his whole career. And that's the first time we've really experienced it to that degree. That's frustrating. I understand when people say it's frustrating to play against Kyler Murray. But let's just wait till Call of Duty comes out. We'll see how he's doing then. But man. To the Chris Shula point real quick, I want to say I wasn't disappointed. I really – the Cardinals did a great job of exploiting the middle of the field problems we talked about by running up the gut. Connor crushed us up the middle. And the first touchdown wasn't a touchdown, but let's just say it was an amazing catch regardless, right? Number 1. Number 2, we had like 3 or 4 major miscommunications in the secondary, which, by the way, was our one of our key takeaways for the week 1 preview. We were like, it's the first time these guys have played together in the secondary. They're all brand new. We were nervous about those communication problems. They didn't manifest in week 1, but they certainly manifested in week 2. I don't think the scheme itself was bad. I don't think the play calling was bad. I don't remember going, well, I don't know what the hell we're doing here. This defensive formation makes no sense. I don't remember going, oh, why is this guy over here? Why is Michael Hoyt covering this guy? Like, there was none of that. We just got out executed. I didn't see schematic play calling problems. And I know maybe that's letting them off the hook, even though they crushed us. They crushed the defense with their offense, but that's just how I saw it, to be honest.
No, I think that's fair because, I mean, a couple of those plays where, the safety, we saw Kinchins let the receiver get behind him. We saw Quentin Lake basically just do nothing on a deep ball. That can't be schematic, right? There's no chance that those safeties were playing that correctly. By the way, Quentin Lake had a bad game, guys. A really bad game.
By the way, we're talking about the middle of the field. Add Quentin Lake into that because he's playing slot and sub linebacker a lot, which is the guy he plays a lot in the middle. The whole middle field is just direct.
Yeah.
None of
he was
them.
A liability.
None of them have any legitimate instincts to like play recognition or the speed to make up for the lack of those two things. It's just a mess, man. The middle of the field is a mess.
Yeah. It's gonna hurt with John Johnson out now too. Because I mean, he was the one guy that I trusted to play that deep safety.
I thought
or either hash.
I thought he was while he was playing. I thought he was the best defensive player on the team.
No, I mean, yeah, like I trust him back there, and right now, not really anyone else. So losing him is actually potentially huge. But go ahead, Joe. I think you were going to say something.
Yeah. I know I've been super quick on my points. I just don't really want to talk about the game. It was depressing. Everything just went wrong. But defensively, like what Ethan said, I sort of want to side there just because I don't want to just put it all on the Cardinals offense, but the offense was running red hot, man. And they ran. The funny thing about it, they ran red hot from first quarter all the way to Kyler Murray set out. It was nothing but Marvin Harrison Jr. Shout out to that kid, man. He's gonna be super nice. I'm super excited to watch him for the rest of his career. But he was wide open a lot. James Conner was running wild. Pride was running wild.
Bro, real quick. Harrison made contested catches. He made spectacular catches. He got open. We talked about him before the season being the complete package. He showed the complete package. If this is Madden, all those catch stats, bro, he's showing them. It's crazy.
Yeah.
He was awesome, dude. He was awesome. Him and Kyler, to me, if both of them could get it together, I know I hate the Cardinals. We all hate them, but if they can get it together and get some pieces around them, they can be a nice duo, a nice little tandem.
For sure.
I actually don't hate the Cardinals because they've never been a problem. So I'm hoping I don't have to hate them. They're just kind of like they're just the Cardinals.
I can't even hate them because they're not good enough to hate.
I sort of liked them a little bit. When they had Kurt Warner that one year when they were on the Super Bowl run.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? I watched.
I was rooting for them with Larry Fitz and Bolden.
They had so many lovable players on that team.
Yeah, but Joe, one thing that you mentioned too, you mentioned the run defense. I forgot to mention that. Of all the things that I'm unsure about, the secondary, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Chris Shula, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm pretty sure we're just a bad run defense. This is 2 weeks in a row. I mean, Montgomery and Gibbs, that's one thing. They're an amazing running team, but
let's be specific.
James Conner,
let's be specific because it's a great point you're both making. But what I want to emphasize the middle of the field again because James Conner ran right up the middle virtually all his runs, and they brought in Trey Benson to run on the outsides. I want to show you guys because I just saw it while we were talking. Look at the running numbers on those. James Conner tore us to shreds up the middle. Trey Benson, who's insanely explosive, nothing. And one of the primary reasons why is Verse and Byron Young are so good at defending the edge against the run.
They did good on that. No.
They did good. Yeah. But, dude, isn't that an insane split? 0.9 yards per run and 5.8.
Yeah. By the way, Jared Verse played well, too. That was one of the only bright spots.
3 tackles for loss.
Wasn't great, but he was good, and he had a forced fumble by the goal line later in that game, a really nice forced fumble. And look, Kyler Murray is very elusive, and you get frustrated and you say, dang, you had him and you let him go, but at least he's getting there, right? Most 29 out of 32 quarterbacks in the NFL, that's going to be a sack. So I like what I'm seeing from Verse overall. Obviously, he's a rookie. It's his second game. There's a lot of things to clean up, but
He's the defensive player
I
of the
like
year
what I'm
favorite
seeing
right
from
now.
Verse. I think that's
Not defensive
yeah.
rookie of the year. Sorry, he's defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No,
Actually,
yeah,
real
he
quick,
looks good, man. He looks good.
We had a thing for this, didn't we? Yeah, right here. Let me pull this up real quick. Bam. Jared Verse. Tackles and pressure rate.
That's wonderful, man.
You know what this reminds me of? Low key. And I'm not going to. What?
I say Aaron Donald.
Yeah. Remember on these
God.
charts? No, not because he's Aaron, but on these charts, Aaron Donald always used to be in the top right by himself, and no one was near him. It just reminds me, out of the rookies, he's the Aaron Donald of the rookie class. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he looks good, man. He's legit.
okay.
He is. Yeah.
So any other defensive takeaways?
I'm good again, man.
No, I think I got everything out. Yeah, I think I'm good on that.
I'm
That's
ready
not
to
bad.
see
That's
Stock up.
the last-
I have two stock ups. Two stock ups.
On offense?
No, just
Are we
total.
starting with offense?
No, there's no point in
Okay.
doing both. Let's just do
Okay.
it.
Just all right. All right.
Just if you have anything positive to say it. Stock up.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'll have two. So
Bo
that's why I wanna
Limmer was great again.
do it. Mhm.
I'm actually getting really excited about Bo Limmer's potential future. So, stock up. Bo Limmer was great again. I don't remember ever seeing him make a major mistake. I don't remember seeing him let up a run stop or a sack or even any pressures. I was really high on Bo Limmer. Second stock up. Marvin Harrison Jr. is an unbelievable player.
Please don't. Okay.
That's a good one,
You're
man.
gonna pick a Cardinal for your stock up.
They beat us like a
Dude,
broken
that's
drum.
bad. That's bad. This is crazy,
Dude,
man.
so
That never happens
we
again.
talked about the three big receivers coming in, and we said Marvin Harrison has the biggest upside because he's a complete player. And goodness gracious, he's a
Malik
complete
Neighbors
player.
look great too, by the way. I think it's debatable between those two, but you can take it. They're
The
both
difference between
gonna
the
be elite
two
receivers, I think.
is, I mean, they're both great. Roma Dunze's look bad, but man, he's got a guy, that quarterback in the O line.
Yeah, Caleb doesn't look good. Yeah.
No. I know everyone's saying he's got a bad line, but he had one of the worst O lines in college and made it happen. So
Right.
the expectations were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, do you want to go or should I go next?
Yeah. I mean, I can go real fast.
Okay, go ahead.
My stock up is gonna be super simple. We talked about it already. My stock up is Jared Verse.
Okay.
This probably if we all had to get a defensive one, that he would probably be the only stock up.
Sure.
I just think he did a good job of setting the edge, getting to the quarterback. He was super aggressive. Ethan just showed the stat. He had a lot of pressures. He had a great job. And I actually got a stock up on offense. And to me, I think it's kind of weird, but I know we talked about it, and I know Ethan kind of disagrees, but I just think Demarcus Robinson has just been consistent of what he was doing. I think he had like 50 yards yesterday. He got open on one deep pass that Stafford made, and I just think he's just been consistent. I know Ethan, he's not where you want him to be, but I just feel like he's consistently just giving something, especially that
Yeah.
Puka comes down. I just want him to give us something. You got to give me 40 to 50 yards, something like that. That's me.
Yeah, I don't have a hard disagreement with it. I appreciate his consistency, even though that play with Stafford was a bit fluky because number 3 got lost on a pretty slow throw.
Buddha, yeah.
That could have been a pick if Buddha was paying attention, to be honest. But, yeah, I mean, I like D-Rob. I think he's actually one of the best wide receiver fours in football. I just don't like the receiver because he said he had 50 yards, but that was 48 of them. He only had one other catch in the game.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you didn't say Whittington for that, but I like it. I mean, I hear you. I guess, guys, my stock up is Blake Corum, just by way of the fact that Kyron Williams does not look good, and I touched on it earlier, so I won't repeat myself too much. But I think Corum's going to take his spot, man. That's my prediction. I think Blake Corum will be the starting running back, and as we've said maybe now 2 or 3 times on this show is, Rams don't really do running back by committee, so I think it's just Corum is just going to be the guy. It might start as, of course, they ease him in they sprinkle in a few carries, but I think he'll take over the role. My stock up on defense is Jacoby Durant. He's played well for 2 weeks now, guys. I'm really interested to see what the cornerback rotation is going to be like when D. Will comes back, because I think Durant is playing good football. So it's like, I mean, do you take him off the field? Maybe you. I don't know. I mean,
Akela Witherspoon's coming in too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we have some good corners, man. That's one of the few bright spots. I wonder if Durant could play Quentin Lake's role. That's just kind of a half baked thought I have.
Yes,
But
he
anyway,
can.
that's my stock up.
He can.
Yeah, you think he could?
You know how I know that? Because in
How?
2021, our Super Bowl
He
run.
played a little bit though,
Do
didn't
you
he?
guys remember who played the star in 2021?
I
Because
think was it Kobe?
no, I remember.
Well, I thought Ramsey played the star in 21.
Sorry,
No, no.
2020.
Ramsey was here then?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
2020.
2020 star. Remember who it was? It wasn't it Troy
I
Hill?
said Kobe. I'm tripping. Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
I
okay.
think Troy Hill played the star in
Troy
2021.
Hill. Yeah, that sounds right.
Kobe Durant is about Troy Hill sized, I think, but he's a lot faster than
yeah.
Troy Hill ever
Yeah.
was.
Mhm.
We My point is we played. It might have been 2022. Troy Hill played the star. Anyways, Troy Hill's played the star at some point for us, and so when you're talking about a smaller guy, Kobe Durant is way more athletic, way faster.
Yeah.
I don't see a reason why Kobe couldn't play the star. I would take Quentin Lake
I hear you.
out, put Kobe at the star. Then you have
Mm,
Trey White
yeah.
and Darius D. Will on the outside,
Yeah.
and then you have Akilo at the slot.
Yep.
That could actually be a
That
secondary.
seems like our best. Yeah, that seems like our best lineup.
We like Curl, and
Hmm.
if Cam Kitchens can really just, if we could just focus him at deep safety and just say, hey, you're gonna get the back half of the field, just read it because he's got great instincts. Read it and react and make a play. Our secondary could be legit, dude. It really could.
Although he had
I
a
agree.
bad lapse doing exactly that, but I have in no way, shape, or form have I given up on him after one bad play. I still think
Yeah.
he's going to be a good safety, obviously, but you know, it's early on. But that was disappointing to see, honestly. But I
Yeah.
still like Cam Kinchins.
I'm gonna go through the stock down real quick because the list is too long. We don't have hours.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
I'm gonna beat the dead horse because I think it needs to be beaten. The middle of the defense is atrocious and does not seem to have much of any upside, except for, and we'll hop on Sean McVay again. Please get Omar Spates in the game.
Hmm.
In fact, I
I
might
just
want to
want to see
see
him.
I might want to see Hummel and Spates because both linebackers are now looking atrocious.
Yeah,
Roseboom's
yeah.
performance was utterly it wasn't a missed tackle here and there. It was all game long. This guy was diving at dude's feet, and then shocked that they got through his tackles. It was just,
Roseman played
dude.
awful, man.
He was worse
He
than
was
Reader, and you don't know how hard it is for me to say that.
Oh, there was a play that it was so bad it was funny. It was like Kyler Murray scrambling. I think it was on a third down, and
Yes,
Roseboom
I remember that.
Roseboom literally stood there and just watched him, and it
No, no,
was
no.
like he
You
was like,
remember?
"Hey, here you go. Come over
Joe
here."
pointed
Like,
it out
have the
live,
lane.
and what he did was it looked like he was blocking Trey McBride while Kyler Murray was running. Remember, he got his hands on Trey
What was he
while
doing?
Kyler's running by. We said, "What is
Yeah.
going on
It,
here?"
it was like he was still covering Trey McBride once Kyler Murray was already past the line of scrimmage, and it was
bad.
bro. He played awful.
Man,
By the
it was
that,
it was bad.
wait,
Hey, give me Hummel and Spates next week.
so your stock down is what? Both linebackers?
Both linebackers and Bobby Brown.
Okay.
The middle of the front seven is so bad. You know what's crazy is people are trucking Bobby Brown. They're trucking Roseboom if Roseboom is even stopping them, and they're trucking Reader if Reader's even stopping them. They're all three getting tackles broken from them. They're all three falling backwards for an extra 2 to 3 yards, and they're all three slow. They have terrible play. I mean, there's no positive for that trio, front seven, middle of the field.
Yeah, yeah. My
Yeah,
stock down
I
was the
agree with that.
same too for Roseboom, so I'm not gonna add too much more. But the only reason I'll say that too is because last week I think we both agreed that we thought he looked all right, so we were kind of hopeful about him. Stock down for sure. Really
Yep.
bad game. I'd probably be down to see Spates and Hummel too, but I think we start with maybe just first replace Reader with Spates and see if those two can be okay. But I hear you. That's my stock down as well.
Yeah. Me real quick, super simple. 2 weeks in a row, start down. It's Kyron Williams.
Mm,
That's just the most simple thing I can say, man. I love Kyron.
Love it.
If he sees this, I'm a fan, Kyron. You had a real all pro season to me last year, but right now, Blake might take a job, man. I think he's just been super bad. First
yeah.
first game was
Yeah.
bad, and I didn't think it could get worse. And this game somehow just got worse.
It's way worse.
So he's in trouble, man. He's in trouble.
I hear you, Joe.
One more quick
Yeah.
stock down because it just popped in my head is McVay. I think I praised McVay. He was one of my stock ups. Remember week one?
Mm-hmm.
The inability to realize that the inside linebackers are playing horrible and Spates needs snaps. I mean, these guys are rookies, and there's no reason Spates and Corum shouldn't have been in the entire second half of that game. There's literally no reason. So for that, and Whittington, bro, Tutu was getting snaps over Whittington in the second half. Tutu is a twig, man. If he gets hit, he's going to get hurt.
That was interesting.
Whittington, again, rookie, needs snaps. We should be getting these guys experience, and instead, we even talked about taking Stafford out and putting Stetson in. Remember, Stafford took a couple of hits. We were like, oh, I hope he gets up.
Yeah.
Bro, that's just not using your noggin. It's trying to avoid a complete and utter beatdown. You were already beat down.
Right.
Second half should have been taking a look at the future guys and giving them
just throw the white
necessary
flag, man.
snaps,
It's
bro.
week 2. Throw the white flag.
Especially because they're the near future guys, right?
Yep.
It's not even like far off. It's like, no, we're gonna need Whittington like next week, and
Blake Corum, Whittington,
probably Corum also.
Cam Kitchen, Spates, they should all be starters by the end of the season. So, agreed.
Yeah.
All right, next, moving on to the Week 3 preview against the San Francisco 49ers. The first thing that we need to talk about discussing the preview is our injuries. So Cooper Kupp is likely headed to these are the new ones. We got a lot from here, but new Cooper Kupp likely headed to the IR, Jonah Jackson likely headed to the IR, and John Johnson III likely headed to the IR. On top of all of our other injuries that we had going on. So our injuries are piling up. They're no joke. The video title is a little clickbaity, but it's also pretty realistic. When you lose, let's just count.
It's a fair question.
One starter, 2 starters, 3 starters, 4 starters, 5 starters, 6 starters, 7 starters out of 22 starters.
And they're
7
key,
of them.
I mean, key positions everywhere. Like
7 of them are key players. I mean, so 7 starters are going on IR. I don't want to be sensationalist, but my buddy texted this to me. He said, "There's a real chance that we start the season 0-5." And the schedule lightens up. Actually, let's take a look at the schedule. We talked about that. The schedule lightens up. We got the Niners next week. Keep in mind they're without McCaffrey. They're without Debo. They're both hurt. Definitely missing next week. But they're still the Niners. They still have plenty of pieces. The Bears have looked bad, but the defenses look pretty good at times. So there's some question marks there. The Packers may or may not have Jordan Love back. This is the games before the bye. I mean, I'm saying we probably win one or two of these games, but I wouldn't be shocked if we lost all 3. To be honest, with all the injuries we have, it's possible.
yeah.
So go ahead.
So what do you? So like you said, the title of the episode is the season already over? Where do you guys stand on that? I mean, I'll go first, and I want to say this. I want to, I guess, inject some. What did the kids say? Some copium into the audience right now. I'm gonna say this right now. I have not given up on this season. For me, the answer is no. The season's not already over. And I'll say this. And Joe, you know this. This is true. Is that last year when we were 3-6. And pretty much 90% of the fan base had given up on the team. I predicted that we would make the playoffs. I still liked what we had on the roster, and we went from 3-6 to 10-7, and we made the playoffs. I know what the statistics say. If you start 0-2, 0-3, what are the odds that you're going to make the playoffs? I know it's very low, but again, what are the odds that you make the playoffs after starting 3-6? So, and you could actually put the schedule back up, Ethan, for a sec. Look. I'm going to be honest. I think next week is an L. I'll just say that now. I know we do predictions at the end, so I guess I just buried the lead. That's fine. But Bears, Caleb Williams. I think we have a good chance of winning that game. Packers with no Jordan Love, if that's the case, I think we have a great shot at winning that game. Raiders, same thing. Vikings. I know they're playing well, but I think they're, we can beat that team. And then the Seahawks, we always play well against the Seahawks, and they were our get right game last year when we were, in a slump. So all that to say is I think the schedule gets a lot easier after this week. Guys, a lot of those guys are going to come back. So no, I haven't given up on the season completely. Now, maybe I'm crazy, but that's where I stand. I'm not giving up yet.
Listen, I think I'm gonna go ahead and reach over there and grab the copium juice and drink it. Take a quick sip.
All right.
Um,
All right. All
if you'd
right.
have
Oh
asked,
yeah,
if
yeah.
you'd have
Have some.
asked
Have
me,
some. It's good, bro. It's
right?
good.
Yeah. Cheers, cheers. If
You
you'd have
let it
asked
out.
me, probably like, if you asked me probably like a couple hours ago, I probably would have said, yeah, the season over. But as I sat and thought about it, like you mentioned, the Vikings and Seahawks games, we're probably going to get all the reinforcements back. Probably the Seahawks games, maybe the Dolphins game, but for sure we're going to get D. Will back. Probably
Yeah,
right after
some
the
of it.
Raiders games. Puka, Villa, it might be like Seahawks, Dolphins. So we should get a lot of those guys. Cooper too. We should get a lot of those guys back by then. So me, it's just it's it's hard to think of, but can we just tread water? The Niners,
Yeah.
Bears,
Yeah.
Packers, Raiders. Can we go 2-2?
Exactly.
We
Can
can't
we
we
get
can't
two
go
or
one
three
we
wins?
can't go
Find a way
two
to
and
get
two.
2 or 3 wins
Yeah.
into
Can we go
the,
2-2? Go ahead.
So I'll just be contrarian, so we have a
Yeah.
contrarian point, and say
No, we need that. We
Nah,
need to come back to
just give your
reality.
honest take. Just
no.
I
I
think
think
your honest take is
the season's
yeah.
over, and I'll tell you why the season's over. I don't think this is extreme. I had Super Bowl hopes, and I think that that's definitively out of reach now. Part of
Mhm.
the reason why is even though everyone is coming back, people get re-injured a lot.
Mhm.
The idea of all these guys coming back and staying healthy feels unrealistic to me. And
Half
because
these injuries are re-injuries, by the way. So
that actually makes it way worse. Yeah, the Puka
yeah,
injury, the Avila
yeah.
injury, the
The
Jonah
Jonah shoulder.
Jackson. Yeah, I
Right.
mean,
Yeah, Jonah. Yeah.
it's beyond that. Let's talk beyond the injuries. Um, I don't think this is even fully healthy. I don't think this is a Super Bowl team. I think we
Mm.
just have seen. Now, I could be corrected with some moves. I genuinely think there's too many things on defense for people to exploit in the middle of the field. I think especially once you have like a roadmap of how to beat a team and how to attack a team, it only goes down from there. If we were to trade for a nose tackle and Spates ends up being who we think he can be, maybe I'll change my mind. But as of right now, I think the middle of the field's too easy to attack. And I genuinely think that we have exposed ourselves to being too easy to game plan against on defense. The running game has been bad, and
Yeah.
it's just different than last year. Now, you were talking earlier about D-Rob being consistent in the second half of the season. Part of the reason he was because Puka and Cooper were consistently beating double teams.
Right.
And
Right.
it was just giving D-Rob some crazy open space. And Puka and Cooper didn't start off beating double teams in week 1 and not in week 2 before Cooper got hurt. So, yeah, can it be salvaged to still be a decent season? Yes. Can we still see a lot of the unproven younger guys develop and show some great stuff? Yes. But I wanted a Super Bowl, a legitimate Super Bowl. You guys know, I thought we were going to be in the NFC Championship at least. I thought we were going to be playing the Lions in the NFC
Yeah.
Championship. And that game, and once you're in the NFC Championship game, you in that game,
Anything
you
can
could, yeah, anything can happen. I know they say about the playoffs, but like the NFC Championship's even more true about that. So I think the Super Bowl aspirations are done, but I'm still excited to see what happens for the future. And you know what? I'll save the rest of it for another episode, but let's just leave it there because I think that's
Yeah.
a good starting point.
And real quick, when I say save the season, I don't know if Will means like that, but when I say I think the season's not over, I'm probably not thinking the Super Bowl anymore. I'm thinking a playoff appearance. I just want to be able to get in the dance and
Yeah,
just
but
have a shot. You know?
I mean, for me, if we get to the playoffs, that means we had gotten healthy and we got things right. So for me, at that point, it is Super Bowl. I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead of
Yeah.
myself, but I guess what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say is, for me, there almost is like no middle ground, right? Like I think we're either going to be horrible and this is like 2022 all over again, or I
Mhm.
think we're going to get right and turn it around and be a really good team like we were last year at the end of the season. But
Yeah.
guys, just to, I guess, wrap this up. I mean, I know this is like a cliche, but the NFL is insane how week to week this league is. That literally 36 hours ago, I think most people, a lot of people's reaction to the Rams Lions game was like, "Oh, these are the two best teams in the NFC. This is going to be the NFC Championship game." And now it's like, literally 36 hours later, few injuries, and I think most people would not bet on the Rams to even make the playoffs. I mean, it's just nuts.
So to piggyback on that real quick, not only is the first 2-3 weeks of the NFL season crazy as it is, it's been especially crazy this season.
Yeah.
Look at this insane drop off we've had in passing touchdowns from 2020 2021. We're down from 110 to almost half the amount of passing touchdowns. It's been crazy. We talked about this. We talked about this. I don't think I saved it, so let me go there real quick. But we talked about this crazy thing where there's like if you guys had to guess the best quarterbacks of the first 2 weeks of the season, you would not have put now let's sort it by quarterback rating.
Oh yeah,
you would not have put money on Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield. Now Josh Allen's up here, but 371 yards in 2 games isn't much. He hasn't done a lot of passing, but you got Baker, Derek, Kyler Murray, Sam Darnold as
Sam Darnold, man.
As 4 of your top 5 guys. So that's wild. Then you go, okay, that's crazy, but does it get crazier? It does. J.K. Dobbins, Jordan Mason. Now Josh Jacobs probably expected. Ramondre Stevenson, Alvin Kamara. And then even after that, Joe Mixon, Brian. Dude, we can go down the list. Go to the top 10. Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs are probably the only 2 names you expect to see on the top 10. Wow.
Where's Kyron at?
Right, and Taylor's 10th. I mean, it's not like he's...
How much time do you have for me to scroll down to find Kyron? 37. 2.5 yards. Actually, just for giggles, is he the worst in yards in average? Well, okay, cancel all these guys who aren't really running the ball. Out of the actual guys who, because it's attempts of here, guys who have, I guess, Rashad White's worse, Trey Benson so far, and then DeAndre Swift. So you have like 3 guys who are worse, three or 4 guys. It's bad. It's bad, guys. Then you go, okay, so it's getting crazy. Nico Collins, Chris Godwin, Jamison Williams, Malik Neighbors, rookie, Justin Jefferson, Alec Pierce, Rashee Rice. I mean, out of these guys, you expect to see Justin Jefferson. You expect to see Devontae Adams. The rest of the group is surprising. I mean, it's just been a weird
year.
Weird start to the season. So that's a really good point. Now let's do a quick preview. We're going to first talk about the Rams offense versus the 49ers defense. Let's just do a quick deep dive of who everyone has left because it's been injury riddled. Cooper Kupp's now out. So we're starting DeMarcus Robinson, Tyler Johnson, and either Tutu or Jordan Whittington. Alaric's back, but Jonah's out now. So we're going to have Alaric. Probably Logan Bruss if I had to guess. Maybe McClendon at guard, which would be wild. Bo Limmer, Kevin Dotson, Rob Havenstein. Parkinson's still here. Kyron and Corum. Who knows what's going to go on with that? The offense is banged up. And the 49ers defense is mostly healthy except for Hufanga, who I think is out. You guys have anything that you want to add on about that?
As far as the roster, no, not really. I think you
Rams O's beat up. 49ers defense is mostly healthy. That's the takeaway. Then we move on to the other side of the ball. Rams defense versus the 49ers offense. And this is actually the inverse of that. The Rams defense is fairly healthy. The only 2 guys who are really hurt is John Johnson III and D. Will. The rest of the defense is pretty healthy. Who knows if we'll see Spates or Hummel getting some time. Maybe we'll get Neville Gallimore in there over Bobby Brown. Maybe Tyler Davis. I would love to see either of those guys getting some snaps there. But yeah, so we'll see what's going on there. We'll see a lot of Cameron Kitchens, which is exciting because he's a rookie and he's got some real talent. But on the other side, yeah, I agree. On the other side, Debo's now been ruled out for next week, and of course McCaffrey's on IR. But Jordan Mason's had 2 good first weeks of the season. The 49ers could be running grandpa and grandma back there, running back, and they'd still put up insane yards.
Is Kittle healthy? Did I see that he got a little banged up, or is that?
Kittle was carted off at some point. To be honest, I haven't seen an update on that, so I think there's a good chance Kittle's out as well. So
yeah, that'd be huge. I mean,
I think Kittle was just cramping though. I think I saw it just.
Oh, that's right. I think you mentioned that. So, but either way, it's banged up offense versus mostly healthy defense, and banged up offense versus. So that's kind of the play by play on that one.
Thank God C-Mac is out. Man.
So
otherwise,
yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, but the backup's doing great. He's had 2 phenomenal.
That's true.
He was just on that list I showed.
He looks great.
He's number 2 on rushing
Number
yards,
two, I think. Yeah.
Yep. Oh,
5.1
he
yards a
actually looked
carry.
really good.
So, all right. So next is key matchups. My key matchup is going to be because I want to see. I'm going to give 2 key matchups real quick. Key matchup number 1: Trey White versus Brandon Ayuk or Debo Samuel. I think he's been playing good, and he's gotten a bad rap because of a couple of bum plays, and some of them weren't even his fault. Like the Jameson one was his fault. He got toasted, but the other ones were just phenomenal plays. He played great defense, so I'm excited to see that hopefully evolve into actually great defense with good results. So Trey White versus actually Debo's out. So Trey White versus Brandon Ayuk. I'm excited to see that. And then my second one is I hope Blake Corum. I hope to see some Blake Corum action. That's what I'm really looking to see is Blake Corum versus those linebackers versus that front 7, and to see him maneuver with an injured O-line and make something out of nothing. I know that's a weird key matchup because we don't know if he's going to get some carries, but if Kyron plays all game, it might be real ugly. So go ahead and Will, what's your key matchups?
My key matchup is I'm just looking at Alaric Jackson and this pass protection specifically. It's Alaric's first game back, so he's probably going to be rusty, honestly, and it's a great front. And if Matthew Stafford doesn't have time to throw in this game, it's over, guys. I mean, the only way that we have a chance to win this game is if Matthew Stafford has time to throw. And look, we already know these receivers that we have left aren't elite. It's going to take them a little bit of time to uncover and separate. So that's my key right there. Pass protection against a great front. I'm honestly not feeling that optimistic about it, but that's the key matchup for
Real
me.
quick,
Our pass protection against their front.
I love that, and I hope that Sean McVay comes out with the same game plan he had against the Lions. Quick pass, because you know what? If there's one thing, that Tyler Johnson, Jordan Whittington, and D-Rob all do good is get open quick, quick short routes, power running the ball. Because really, we still have an advantage up the middle. To be honest, we run that right side with Bo Limmer, Kevin Dotson, and Rob Hagenstein. Man, give me some inside runs on the right side. We should be able to make something happen. Short game, quick passes, avoid that pass rush. Love it.
Yep.
Yeah. For me, I got to put 2. My first one is sort of like Ethan's, the secondary mostly, because if Akello comes back, I want to see how it is if you got another decent corner next to Trey White and see how the secondary comes together against the 49ers passing offense. I want to see if they could do a little bit, if they can have a bounce back game, basically. And my second key matchup is a really good one for me, especially if he stays on the right side. I want to see Jared versus Trent Williams. I think that's going to be his
Yeah,
biggest
that's
test
a good
today.
one.
That's probably the best
Love
left
it.
tackle in football. I want to see Jared versus what he can do. And I know one thing that he's going to have to switch it up a little bit. Power is something that Trent Williams can handle. That's what
Yeah,
he does. Bull rush, it might not work that much on Trent. So I think I want to see Jared if he can get a little craftier. If he can get, he had some moves that I liked. He did the Lions game
Yep.
and the Cardinals game. So I want to see if he could get a little craftier with Trent.
You know
yeah,
what else I want to see to that point is I want to see. We've seen a lot of stunts to the outside between Fisk and Verse throughout the first 2 games. I want to see stunts that lead to inside pressure because I think the guards is where the 49ers are weak. So
Yep, it is.
I want to see Fisk crashing the outside, pushing his guard into Trent Williams, and Verse doing the stunt around into the inside. That could lead to some problems, and we know Brock Purdy, being a mid quarterback that he is even worse when he's got pressure in his face. So good key matchups, keys to victory. Real quick, I'm going to go. You know what? I'm going to have fun with this. My key to victory is if Chris Shula gives Cameron Kitchens the opportunity to play deep safety. I think there's a chance because he's a ball hawk. I think there's a chance Cam Kitchens can come up with a turnover. My key to victory is getting a couple turnovers from the 49ers, swing the ball the other way, and my key to that is Cam Kitchens just exclusively playing deep all game. Let that dude's natural instincts take over. Let him play the best ball that he can. He's going to be starting there. Give him the best chance he can to succeed, and let's get some takeaways.
love it. Yeah, we're gonna need turnovers in this game. I think that's a great key. I don't think we win this game unless we are up in the turnover battle. But I'm gonna do like 1.5 now because that's sort of what I wanted to touch on for my key too. Was you mentioned the safety position? I'm really worried about John Johnson being out. I think I said that already. He was our best deep cover guy. So one of my keys is limit explosives. And if we have to make them, go the length of the field and be methodical, over and over, I think that at least gives us a chance to be in the game. My other key to victory, guys, I almost don't even want to say it because I'm not confident we're going to do it at all, but it has to be a key. And I'll
I
say
think
it
you're
for
gonna
the
take the
third
name.
straight week is stopping the run. I don't think we're going to do it, but
Oh, okay.
that is, wait, what'd you say, Joe? You were going to guess what I
No, no,
said.
I thought you stole. I thought you stole mine, but no,
Oh,
go ahead. You
okay.
got
No,
it.
no, I
Okay.
didn't. All right. So then, no, go ahead then. All you.
Yeah. But like you just said, the inverse. Third week in a row. I'm gonna keep saying it until it happens. Run the ball
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
effectively.
yeah, yeah.
That's the keys to victory.
Yep.
Tyron, show me something, bro. Have some
Or
pride
Corum.
and
Screw. No, I'm
pull
just.
some, pull
Stop.
something out.
I'll
Yeah,
say it.
Tyron
Corum.
Corum too. I want to see if Corum comes in, but to me, Tyron, you got to do something, bro. Give me a good game because I think, to be honest, if we protect Stafford, that's a great key. But I think if we can run the ball effectively, I think we can squeak one out and get a win.
Okay. I hear you. Yeah.
I like it. Okay, last but not least, week 3 predictions. Let's start with Will.
All right. All right, guys. I think we are a 7-point underdog. Um, I'm gonna say we lose this game 31-20. To be honest, that's my prediction. I'm not feeling great about it. How about you all?
I'll go second. We'll just go in order here from left to right.
Mhm.
I am going to say, I'm going to say 34-24.
Okay. All right.
You got the Niners winning, of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Me, it's been 2 weeks in a row. I've been wrong, obviously. Um, I want to do it so bad just to be a homer, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go L too. I think we lose. I
Dang,
would be.
man.
I think we got a couple things we could do to win, but I think we're gonna lose this week. If I had to have a score, it would probably be 30-23, something like that. I think it might be close a little bit, and then they might just run the ball during the whole fourth quarter or something.
Yep. I hear you.
You know what's funny
Yeah.
is your key to victory is Blake Corum getting carries. I'm not even mean it
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
funny. I think the best chance we have of getting a good run game is Blake Corum getting carries. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's crazy.
You're right about that.
All right,
Yeah.
guys, that is it for this episode. Appreciate you guys stopping by and taking a watch or giving a listen. Appreciate if you guys like, comment, subscribe. We love the comments. We love interacting with you guys. But as always,
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys a lot. Thanks, guys.
yeah, we'll see you guys
Mhm.
next episode.
Peace out, man.